Sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. Let's go.
One, two. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is a Thursday. It's Thursday afternoon. Sooner or later, we'll be catching this in the evening on Thursdays, but right now, we are here live. It is Darren Brister, Jay Morris, with the musician's voice, between Sundays, talking about things from the Hammond B3, the Nord, the piano, the music section, the drums, wherever it is, in your churches, in your Sunday gigs. What's going on, peoples? Check out these two handsome dudes right here next to me. Listen in, tune in, share, like. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. Either or, you want to watch on your TV screen, check it out on YouTube. All right, it looks good. Check the room out. Bam. All right. Let's go, people. Darian, take us away.
All right, guys. Welcome back. Between Sundays. Today is episode 27. All right. Again, we are a platform where we offer perspectives of the modern church ministry operation and the many nuances therein from the lens of worship, arts, and multimedia personnel. I want to first shout out the electric company here, Pico, for giving us an unwanted day off last week.
Thank you.
Nonetheless, we are back with you. Still making the push to get our subscribers up on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So again, if you're listening and you have not gotten a chance to subscribe to the YouTube page, please do so. Excuse me. Again, you can put in the YouTube search bar between Sundays -YY7NI and the page will come up. All right. So as we always do, we want to take a comment from a previous episode. We want to start right there. All right. So last time we were here, which is 2 weeks ago, one of the topics was the connection and, let me use the word, communion between the music pit and the pulpit. And I think one of the things you and I talked about, Jay, in the latter part was, being consistent in terms of, our ideology when it comes to ministry and the business aspect of it, not making, one convenient and leveraging convenience one to another. So not leveraging, the ideology of ministry against the business aspect and vice versa. All right. So the particular comment that was made during that conversation came from Mom Dale Sharpley. And her comment was, conversations about money in church appears to be a universal challenge for every area of ministry. Conversations about money and church appears to be a universal challenge for every area. I picked this comment because, man, it's got so many layers.
Yeah.
It's got so many layers. It might take up the whole episode today. Let me start here, and then Jay, I want to get some thoughts that come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
I am of the mindset that there should be a level of challenge, particularly when we talk about money. That there should be some challenge and some, let's say, some resistance. I think that's just kind of how we, as humans, how we, properly prioritize things, put them in perspective, and, vet certain things to be honorable and to be true.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. In essence, it's like, let me liken it to, a friendship. It's like, okay, there's certain things that, as you get older, you learn to, kind of look for before you're quick to call somebody your friend.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah.
You learn to look for that before you're quick to label someone that way. So there's some type of process,
right,
before, you label that person, friend, this and so in that same vein, I do believe that when it comes to money in church, there should be a level of, challenge and process.
Yeah.
There should be. And I just, again, I would say this, and then I'm throwing it to you, Jay. I would say this because I know the reason and the nature from which the comment comes. Although the conversation may have its challenges, not to avoid the conversation just because it has its challenges.
Mm-hmm.
That's if I'm not mistaken, that's where the nature of the comment came from Mom Lee, is that we avoid the conversations because there's challenges to it and because there's a little resistance. Again, in my opinion, there's supposed to be some level of resistance, but that don't mean you avoid the conversation.
Yeah.
Jay, you got anything that comes to mind?
Yeah. So whenever we talk about, and this is like these are, it gets sensitive whenever you talk about money in the church. And one of the main things I try to understand in ministries is the Bible says where your treasure is, there's your heart shall be.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it feels, I'm not saying it feels like the same way, because if the money's not right, it seems like the same way our heart is not right about talking about it. Yes, sir. And I think that's what makes it uncomfortable, because what is your motive?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, if your motive is not right behind whatever you're asking or whatever you're giving, then it's going to make an uncomfortable situation. It's going to make an uncomfortable conversation about money. So if we're having a conversation with the trustees, or the trustees are having a conversation with a pastor or a musician, well, what is the goal here?
There you go.
If the goal is not to resolve, but to conquer, this is our line, and you can't cross it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no there's no way to come together and say, hey, how do we end this? How do we work together?
Yeah.
So if this is your line, and I in the sand, and I can't cross it simply because you're uncomfortable. And Dee said something very important before the show. A lot of times it's not that you can't afford it. It's what you're not willing to pay.
Yes, sir.
And because you're not willing, well, that's it. That's the end of the conversation right there. Because now your heart is sharing. You're not even willing to accommodate at all.
Yeah.
So because of one person being a little bit over the edge of the other, and we're not willing to come together with the same mindset and heart, that's what makes it hard conversations.
Yeah.
Because now I need you, the person that's asking for something, to show me why I should spend. Convince me.
Yeah.
And that's not the way it should be.
Yeah.
If we're supposed to be locked in this, and I told a pastor even today, the last thing you want is for your minister of music or your singer or whoever you have in charge to be side-eyeing you over $25.
Good point.
Yeah.
If $25 is enough for them for them to side-eye you and you just won't budge, they don't need to be there, or you don't need to be there. Y'all don't need to be working together.
Yeah. Absolutely.
$25 is not enough for y'all to blow heads. I'm sorry. That is not, I mean, my gosh, somebody could just take that out their pocket and just give that to you, and then what, everything is fine? No, it's a heart issue.
Yeah.
This is my line, and I ain't gonna cross it.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, even if you're right, you just prove what you said. That's fine. This is still my line. It's the heart, man.
It's the heart, man. That's so key in this conversation. The heart and our intentions.
Motive.
That's so key. Pels, I'm coming your way very shortly to get your thoughts. Let me also offer this, particularly when we talk about our intentions, and we bring up this money topic when it comes to church. The other line that gets blurred, particularly, with those who are assigned in terms of the finances. The line that gets blurred is ownership versus stewardship.
That's a good one.
Ownership versus stewardship. Because if our motives are in the right place, our relationship with the Lord is healthy, then we understand everything we have, we are stewards over.
Of course. We own nothing.
We don't own nothing. We are stewards over. So that not only applies to those in the finance department, it applies to us as well in the music pit regarding our gifts, regarding our skill set. We are stewards over that.
I also thought about sometimes, and I hope this helps somebody, we could be so, our motive and our headstrong attitude could be so harsh to where it's not only a comfortable conversation, but even when it benefits us, we still won't budge.
Yeah.
If you know there's issues in your ministry and your musical equipment, sound equipment, that you are told should be updated, or something that should be taken care of, because if not, you're going to pay a lot more money.
Yeah.
This is not helping us. It's helping you and the ministry.
Yeah.
So when you're told something like this, the motive should be to take care of the house of God first. But even then, it seems, I'm not saying everybody's like that. And I'm not even talking about pastors. I'm talking about those that are in control of the finance. We should be willing, if this is the house of God and we're supposed to take care of it, even if you feel it doesn't benefit you personally, if it benefits the house of God, what's the purpose in not
I'm glad you brought up that layer, because this is where I want to pivot to before Pels jumps in. Glad you brought up that layer. Let me talk to musicians real quick. Let me talk to the musicians particularly in terms of identifying the equipment that we use to play in the church. I've seen a lot of times where when it's time to get that equipment, let me talk to my keyboardists. That we are choosing solely based off of what we like.
Yep.
We're choosing solely based off of what we like.
Man, I wish that bell was here.
Because, we figure, well, we the one that's going to play it the most, so why shouldn't it be exactly what we want it to be?
Yeah, not the ministry. We.
So this is what I would say to you. I would say to you, okay, if that's your approach, why not just bring your own equipment every Sunday? Because my issue is when you're asking the church to purchase based solely off of your preference.
Yep.
Because it's not going to be yours.
Yeah. At any time.
I'm not saying that your preference should not be involved.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you should be including more than just your preference.
Exactly.
If the church is going to buy it because it will be the property of the church.
Yep.
Again, if you would like in your situation for it to be solely your preference, okay, cool. Bring your own.
Right.
Bring your own.
That satisfies that right there. Yep.
And we're going to come back to that. Pels, you ready to jump in, man?
No. No, I don't have anything much on it other than so here's just a quick thing with me. I look at the fact that in most of our ministries, right? In most of our ministries, the bigger struggle happens to be and it's just me. Our struggle happens to be we as a whole church don't look at all of the things. So let's go here. Everybody has to go to the restroom at some point. Now some people are just like, if you like me, and I'll just go here, I condition myself that I don't have to go to the restroom like I'm at home. Yeah. Right. So I train myself. I don't eat a certain way before I go to church so I can go in and out. There's some people that's like, look, I need to spend time there, especially at a church. I know from pastoring, if the men's bathroom ain't right, you better make sure the women's bathroom is right.
Yes, sir.
It got to have potpourri, candles, whatever, this, that, and the third. Which means it's a everybody problem. So the church meeting going to be, yo, the toilet ain't working in the women's bathroom. That's a whole meeting. Everything got to stop.
Yeah.
But it seemed like when it comes to music departments and other things, or even audio system, it's just like, yo, we got a big problem. We can't hear the singers that we want to sing. Yeah. Some of them singing out of key because they can't hear because they don't have no monitors. Or the drummer's playing loud because he can't hear, or he's playing too soft because he can't hear the organ or something. And that's kind of like, oh, that's a y'all problem over there. Or, yo, the musician don't seem like he can really play no good. That's because we're spending money on these things and putting up new curtains and stuff. What I'm saying is we don't make that a universal, like overall, involve the people, because you may get somebody that got a business that says, hey, and this is a fact, y'all. I know someone personally that their business was doing so well that their business donated the yearly budget for the musicians.
Wow.
They made a commitment and said the musician thing ain't a problem, and the rest of the church was able to look at, well, we're saving this amount every year, or somebody may sponsor. How much is it for the drummer? Because I need to write off something. You may have people like that in your congregation, but because we don't make it a universal discussion, right? We make that's on the pastors and the trustees or the choir behind closed doors. We don't open up to the church and say, hey, you know, this is how much the musician gets paid.
Yeah.
And then people go, well, they get paid. What they don't do nothing. No, let's explain.
Yeah.
And be confident to say, okay, if that's what y'all think, we're going to play a track this Sunday.
Yeah.
And then everybody going to be like, well, I need some music. So, well, can't we just get, let's try it. You got somebody to bring in here?
Yeah.
And then let's let everybody else say, I'm not saying you have time to do all of that. But what I'm saying is
Concept.
you have to be more transparent and say, you know, X, Y, and Z, because somebody may know how to talk to the drummer quietly and say, listen, bro, and I'm not picking on drummers.
Yeah.
Yo, you come in and smell like weed every Sunday, and you're late.
Yeah.
And it's no, bro, come on, what? Can I help you get it together with somebody else? You
Exactly.
know, like you wearing the same thing. Can I help you or whatever? That's what a church should be doing for one another.
Yes, sir.
And there should be some form of transparency enough that we don't just make it the pastor's problem and the trustees' problem, while everybody else is shouting on the good music that everybody else is stressing over paying for.
Yeah.
Let's like that. That's my thing about how we don't really have the discussion on what's going on in music departments and sound and video and stuff like that, because people make their decisions based on scrolling.
Yeah.
When you say, hey, come visit my church, they scroll your church first. And if they scrolling your church first and they looking, what's the representation of that? And since you talking about your tithing and your giving and this, that, and the third, well, all of that goes into more than just the bathroom looking cute or we need to fix the sidewalk, right? And then you got the bills and stuff. So it's like the music department and audio, AV is a bill. I'm gonna just leave it at that. Wow. Right?
Yes, sir.
And I'm saying that for the side of it's just not a voluntold and you got your gift, use it.
Yes,
No,
sir.
that musician has to take time out of their schedule to set up for, and here's a crazy word, the production necessary for a Sunday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
So
sir.
it don't just come for free. And we have to get off of musicians are robbing churches. Right? Some are, some not, and some churches are robbing musicians. Let's even it out there
Yeah.
and make it applicable to what the situation is.
Yes, sir.
Yep, that's what I had.
You, man, so there's a word that you introduced in your comments there, Pels, that I think we're kind of getting to the root. You introduced the word transparency. Because I get the sense that the unwillingness to be transparent is what creates the challenge.
That is.
It's like it's control. It's control. It's when the wrong person is in control. If you are a pastor, like i.e., I'm just throwing this out there because that's my guy. I love him. Pastor Waller's a musician.
Yeah.
So if he has an opinion on something or he's saying something, we can put weight on it because he knows what he's talking about.
Absolutely.
Right? It don't mean he know everything, but you can hear that. But if you're a pastor and you don't know anything about music at all, you don't have to be the musician.
Yeah.
You could be, I found out today, a bishop that played guitar. I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
But it's like still, if you have knowledge of it or you ran it, we're after Preach Sunday, Pastor Marshall Mitchell, he knows music industry.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean he knows everything about worship music, but he knows music industry. He knows people that know.
Yeah.
So you don't discredit people because of what they can't play or X, Y, and Z. But if you yourself in a position know you don't know, be honest with yourself and be transparent. Here's all I know. And you can stick to your guns and say, listen, this is the budget, right? We had talked about this, but the next thing is, a budget means here's the money and this is the decision on how you divide that.
Yeah.
You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a decision on what you prioritize.
Correct.
And the budget always budgets based on what benefits in the moment.
Yes. But yeah, I just, again, I feel like that is the root of why, these conversations appear to be a challenge in every area of ministry.
Yeah.
It's, there's too much unwillingness to be transparent. Jay, you got any more thoughts, bro?
Yeah, man. Like you hit it that knot right on the head, brother, where it stings. That transparency, you know, and when people don't want to be transparent because it opens up, you know, what's in the heart.
Yeah.
It opens up that motive, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if, you know, and here's what I would say, you know, if you guys, let's just say, and I'm not picking on musicians or pastors, but we're using this because of the platform.
Yeah.
But as my brother said, if y'all have a keyboard that you're trying to get for your ministry, your minister of music or musician, he can have a say, but why not research it yourself? If you know a few other brothers that are ministers of music or musician, ask them as well. You don't have to take the you know, one guy's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Research it as well. Do some homework.
Yeah.
So that way you don't have to spend $5,000 and then, you know, when that person that said this was the best keyboard is not there anymore, you're stuck with just
Correct.
paying $5,000, and now the next guy you have like, this is trash.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What are you doing with this? And now he can't use it, and now you're like, what am I supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think if you know, if the research is there as well, if y'all want to be transparent and say, hey, listen, I don't know it all. I need to research this. I don't mind. I'm willing.
Yeah.
I'm not writing my you know, stick in the sand. I'm willing to research. I'm willing to pay, but I need to know that this is where we need to go.
Yeah.
And if more questions are asked, and that right there, if more questions are asked, I'll make sure I keep saying that,
Mm-hmm.
beforehand, I don't think we would have a lot of the issues. And matter of fact, I'm positive that's the case. Me and D was talking about that last time. A lot of times issues are in our situations in church because we don't ask enough questions beforehand.
Yes.
And a lot of situations happen that could have been left out from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our issues, a lot of our situations. So yeah, you know, I say it again, research what's going on before you make a move.
Let me offer one of a tactic that I use, particularly on the topic of, you know, money in church and, you know, getting approval for, you know, financial resources to be allotted to, for instance, equipment. All right. So one of my tactics, because again, and I think I said this a while ago, I said, you know, one of a thing that I try to do the most that I can is I try to speak the language of the person I'm talking to, which means, okay, if I'm not talking to a musical person, an audio person, but the conversation has to be about audio, about music, then it's kind of up to me to, you know, pretty much translate and be the interpreter. It's right. Like being the speaker and the interpreter. So here's one thing that I do on this topic of getting, you know, approval for, you know, financial resources, particularly for equipment. It's obviously, you know, talking about why there's a need for whatever reason. But also I always support that with something like, you know, let's take keyboards, for example. So if I am putting in a requisite form for a Nord keyboard, okay, yeah, one of the best keyboards on the market, you know, when you ask most gospel musicians, some of the best digital piano sounds there are. But I also say you will commonly see this in many churches. You will commonly see this brand of keyboard in many churches across the area, across the country. Versus, again, well, you know, this what I feel is the best. And okay, you're looking around other churches, well, they didn't choose to go with that. I wonder why. So again, that's that. Maybe that'll help somebody in terms of, again, you know, part of the conversation of, you know, the getting, you know, financial resources for equipment, with video equipment. Here's a prime example. We're gonna talk about some of the, the audio video stuff. We talk about a lot of it next week when Tremaine is back. But for instance, with cameras set up, all right, there's a lot of different approaches that you can take. It has a lot more to do with the amount of personnel you have. Because you got one person, then setting up 3 DSLRs, that's probably not the most effective way to do that. Or 3, camcorders.
Yeah.
Video, that's probably, it's probably makes more sense to go with mounted PTZs, where one person can control and move each camera. So again, but that is, again, trying to speak the language of who you're talking to, because you and I know in the finance department, we rarely see people who are musical. We rarely see that.
Yeah. Now,
The person that has to sign the check is rarely a musical person. Jay.
Now, you see, I don't know whether I realized what he just said. What he was talking about cameras, I knew nothing about what he just said. Now, if he's telling me what I need, and I'm looking at him like he's talking Chinese right now, where he's talking about PTZs and all of my numbers, I'm like, okay. But that's how it be. A lot of times he's telling me that these, and I'm like, okay, how much is this going to cost? And he's like, okay, well, I'll get you a deal. They're going to cost about $7,000. And I'm like, well, how about if can I get it for 15, maybe two grand? And his thing is, he's like, he's going to tell me the best possible price for the best possible cameras for the ministry. Now, I didn't say the best possible cameras in the world.
Nope.
The best possible cameras for the ministry.
Yes, sir.
Just like we did with the speakers when my man Tremaine was here. Every room is different. It's treated different.
Yeah.
Some you have to have speakers on each side of the front, but you don't have to have speakers on every single side of the room. And you're in the bottom. It don't take all that. But if you don't know, you ask somebody that does. The same thing with cameras. I know nothing about camera setup. So you got to ask somebody that knows about camera setup, but trust the person that is giving you the info, or don't ask them. Ask someone that you can trust, that's going to give you the right answer that you can receive. There's no point in calling him into the office. What do you know about PTZs? And he's like, that ain't even it. It's called PZT or whatever he said.
Yeah.
This is the name of the camera you need. And then trying to get him to strike a deal for half that price. Like, come on. Either you want it or you don't. And he's transparent enough to say, hey, listen, this is why you need this. Your room fits 300 people. Not 1,000. You don't need this $10,000 camera. You need this $5,000 camera. Well, that's still too much. Well, I don't know what to tell you. You ask me, what do I need? Go ahead, pal.
You know what's crazy? The price point, the problem. Okay, so those who are watching, those who will, I'm curious of how you feel about this point right here. Purchase as it pertains to production, right? The new iPhone just came out. And the only people to me that really need it are those who are doing that much production, that newer technology aids to their perspective, power, and propensity to produce.
Yeah.
I ran into a dude at a photo shoot. My man had an iPhone 8. Like, it was an older joint, and I was like, and it still works, right? And it was like that joint hot, like everybody was on it. I got a Palm I got a Palm Pilot in my car right now. I'm trying to find the plug just to turn it on, just to turn it on for the heck of it, right?
Yeah.
That's nostalgic. But what I'm saying is, in our churches, a lot of times what happens is we do plug and play. But it's like plugging up something that we don't know what the ham sandwich to do with it. and we are persecuting the people because we're purchasing stuff to plug up just to be up with. There are key things that we need to keep up with. When you get preachers or musicians that come in, right? Or if you're trying to step a step forward with your music department, the word need becomes relative.
Yeah.
Right. So faith comes by hearing. So we got to make sure people can hear in the room. You got a big church, you got to amplify the sound. That takes a certain amount of money to get it done. And then to Jay's point, you can get, like Darian and Tremaine can show you, hey, if your main goal is to get the sound to the person in the back, you can do it with this $200 speaker and you can do it with this $2,000 speaker. Now, it depends on the quality that you want. And that's when we start getting in the budget. It's like if you go to a phone store, if you don't have a phone and you say, I need a phone. Why? To communicate. Okay. You can get a $99 phone to communicate. Now, if you say, but I want to open the internet and get quality pictures, and then next level, I want to shoot raw so I can edit and stuff. If you're that type of person, that's why you're spending all of that money. The average person now is like, oh, the new Android, new iPhone came out. I got that joint. And I'm looking at them like, and you ain't gonna do no production with it that you would have did with the 14 or the Galaxy 1. Right? So you on Galaxy number 5 and you still don't even know the capabilities of Galaxy 1. You on iPhone 16 and you have not even used the iPhone 8 to its capacity.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is churches are forgetting about seek ye first the kingdom. Right? Making disciples. From there, if you start with that nucleus, then you start branching into what you think you need. And because at the end of the day, all these things are going to be accessories.
Yes, sir.
But it's what is the main thing. So we can argue the point, but I'll stand on it. Every church, to me, in my opinion, should have a Hammond. That's just an opinion. It's not a must.
Yeah.
But it is one of those standards. We have to learn to agree on standards.
Yeah.
So if someone came in and said, we want to start a some kind of fund for churches that are struggling.
Yeah.
What is the meeting going to accomplish? What do we leave out of there and say we have a $2 million budget and we want to help churches?
Yeah.
Dr. Kevin Johnson, who's going to be installed at Abyssinian Baptist Church. I never forget in the pandemic. You know what Dare to Imagine did? They gave grants, right, to churches to at least stream.
Yeah.
Why? Because nobody could assemble. So the biggest problem everybody had is we can't communicate
Correct.
with the church.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they gave an offering to churches that needed funds to have a computer, a simple camera, and to stream.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
Another group was like, yo, y'all need budget for Zoom. You got to bring 50 members in. That's a certain grade of Zoom.
Yeah.
You give a budget for that. Now, the next level is if you go to somebody else's Zoom, like Keith got Sony cameras. You don't need them Sonys.
Yeah.
They got a Nord keyboard. You don't need a Nord. You see do y'all see where I'm going?
Yes, sir.
And the issue that we have is you got a church with 10 members that their main problem is we need musicians. Time out. Time out. Because you ain't even in the ballpark to handle a budget of 2 people. And if you are, you need to be allocating that somewhere else. Those are the issues that we have where we're biting off more than we can chew. And we're grabbing stuff that we don't need. I got pastors calling me for a 3-piece band, and it's like, you don't have a 3-piece membership. Like, how you going to do that?
Right.
We doing too much. Oh, we got to get an LED screen. You don't even have enough space for the screen. Something wrong here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be the Negro to say it.
Yeah.
Something's wrong here.
Yes, sir.
Take it, fellas. Take it.
So, I want to go back to this comment And I need to talk about the other side of this, because we talked about the transparency maybe being part, or the unwillingness to be transparent, maybe part of the root of the challenge of the conversation of money in church in every area of ministry. There's something else at that root too.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would say, the other thing at that root is the unwillingness to hear each other.
Mm.
It has been my experience that a lot of times in ministry, particularly when there's challenges, you'll find people that like to talk.
Mm.
They don't like to listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Particularly if it is they're hearing something that they don't agree with.
Yeah. Tune you right on out.
So I would say we really need to re-examine that. We really need to all re-examine that. We can't be so quick to turn someone off just because they have a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We also can't be so quick to label someone's perspective, or I should say mislabel someone's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I see that a lot, I've seen that a lot in my experience,
Mm-hmm.
where someone's perspective on something gets mislabeled. It gets mislabeled as an attack.
Mm.
It gets mislabeled as a dig,
Yeah.
just because it's different, or just because it sounds similar to, a perspective you've heard before that was an attack,
Yeah.
or it was a dig. We gotta be careful there.
Mm.
We gotta be careful. If we're not hearing each other, then the challenge is only going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
It's only going to be greater if we're not hearing each other. Now, there's also responsibility in there when I say hearing each other, because there should be a respect factor, particularly when we talk about the different areas of ministry. Pels touched on this a little while ago in terms of, don't try to represent knowing something you don't,
Mm-hmm.
just because you're in a position, so be careful of that. Be careful, not to try to misrepresent knowing what you don't know just because you're in a position.
Right. Right.
There again, there is no crime in transparency.
Right.
There is no crime. Watch this. In most cases, you being transparent don't demote you.
Right there.
Maybe that's one of the I guess I would use the word fears,
Mm-hmm.
is that you being transparent, you're gonna demote yourself. But transparency is one of the greatest avenues of learning and acquiring more information.
Right. Right. For
It's
sure.
one of the greatest avenues of learning more and acquiring more information is being transparent. How can you learn what you are telling yourself you know?
Right there, brother. Right. All right.
How can you learn what you are telling yourself you already know? And truth be told, there's way too much of that in our churches.
Yeah.
Way too much. In every area. Even from the musicians and the musical people.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
We're telling ourselves that we know what we really don't. And for what?
It's crazy, man. I had a young brother ask me, could I install Logic for him on his computer? And I asked him, I said, what's going to be your projects for Logic? What are you going to be doing with it? I just need some shout click tracks for Sundays. I was like, okay, so let me tell you something. If you're doing it just for click tracks, that's a waste of money. That right there, Logic and Pro Tools, if you just want them for click tracks, it would be my recommendation that it's a waste of money for that. They do so much more for production rather than you just pay hundreds of dollars for just a click track.
Yeah.
You can get a click track for $10, $20 on your phone. For real. I got it.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted just a click track, I can get you that. If you just want that for, for a shout, but don't pay hundreds of dollars because someone told you you're looking at what somebody else is doing.
Yeah.
And you never said to yourself, you know what? Let me check and see what can I do? Like you'll waste all that money and don't know how to use any of it. Matter of fact, my brother says it all the time. You buy this wonderful thousands of dollar keyboard and only use piano. You got a whole workstation as a keyboard. Can do so much more, over 7,000 instruments on that thing, and you only know
Piano, strings, horns, side of synth.
7,000 songs,
Terrible.
7,000 sounds.
Yeah.
And all you know is piano, strings, horns, and synth.
Bell sound. What would I need a bell sound for?
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if.
Well, look, here's a good insert. It all depends on production. And that thought, y'all know when I jump on screen is this. So, and shout out to King. He can understand this.
King, what's up, bro?
Let's just say it like this. When I was just at a jazz club and I'm sitting there laughing to myself. Now, whether it's an upright or whether it's an electric bass, there's a bass.
Yeah.
Whether it's a 10-piece or a 2-piece, there's a drum set. Whether it's acoustic or whether it's digital, there's a piano, right? There's many more instruments, but there's the basic of at least 3 instruments.
Yeah.
Keys, bass, and rhythm section, right? You don't walk into a jazz club like impressed with whatever keyboard it is because 90% of the songs is going to be a piano,
Absolutely.
a bass, and a drum. That's it.
That's it,
right?
Yep.
I'm not saying we have to compartmentalize ourselves to that with church, but in our neo soul days, it was drum, bass, and Rhodes.
That part.
That was the nucleus of everything. It didn't go into. So now I said all that to say about the late great Paris Bowen.
Yes, sir.
Who dove into the Nord. I mean, dove into it, just messing with it, doing stuff, To all of you out there that go in and do stuff with it, touching stuff and going in. To those who use Logic beyond the click track, right? And go in and create stuff and do mixing and stuff and automation and stuff. If you're that type of person, you're the type of person.
Yeah.
But you have to know I'm not that type of person. You got cats bragging on, oh, I got the new so-and-so, it do this, that, and the third. And we're looking like you ain't going to use none of it. Or the ministry doesn't require all of that.
Yeah.
Because the conflict you'll have is the frustrated musician that wants to use all of the 15,000 things in the keyboard, and that ministry don't need all of that.
Nope.
It established needs. Now, if you have hey, I want to be a new Stephen Furtick starter kit, or I want to be so-and-so, you need strings, you need this, you need bells, whistles, all of that. You got to be ready. You need automation, all of that.
Yeah.
But if that's not the type of ministry, I mean, you got a old school, good Southern Baptist style ministry. You don't need all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You barely going to use strings and bells.
Yeah.
You see, y'all see where I'm going? So it's like, again, I'm gonna support my point. An organ fits in all of those situations.
Yes, sir.
I'm just gonna say. Shout out to one of them churches on the main line where the pastor was like, "Yo, we got a Hammond, man," and I'm like, "Yeah, try to told you, at least have one there."
Yeah.
Right? It's like a church without a drum set.
Yeah.
You would benefit just at least putting a drum set there.
There you go.
Now, all the intricacies of, is it a good kit, bad kit, Tama's played out, whatever, tomato.
Yeah,
Have a rhythm section in there.
there you go.
And have a keyboard or organ in the house and have a good sound system.
Yeah.
Cameras are optional. I'm done.
All right. Let me say one more thing, particularly in the little bit of a branch that we put on this, and then I want to come back to the comment and put a bow on it. And I'm talking to musicians here.
Uh-oh.
I have seen where some guys, they ask a lot of questions.
Mhm.
But I guess the issue I see sometimes is I see really a resistance against truly learning.
Mhm.
And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is every time they're trying to achieve something, instead of doing this much research on how to achieve it, they're always asking somebody.
Mhm. Right.
Always just at, hey, I need somebody help me out. Need to be able to do this. What do I do? And I don't want to be misunderstood when I'm, I don't want to project that there's something wrong with asking. No, that's not what I'm trying to project.
Right.
Let me say it this way. The things that you sit down and research on your own, they generally tend to stick and resonate with you longer
Right.
than the times that you just ask somebody and they give you the answer.
Mm.
Mhm.
So let me say it that way, because again, I don't take issue with people asking other people.
Mhm.
Example, that there would be times where I would be trying to pluck out the right words to the right chords to a song.
Mhm.
And one or two chords, it ain't coming.
Right.
I move stuff around. So what do? At that point,
Mhm.
hey Troy, this one song is this one part's tripping me up. Can I send it to you? You tell me what you hear.
Mhm.
Hey Austin, this one chord is bothering me, but I want to know what it is. Can I send this to you? You tell me what you hear.
Mhm.
But again, that's after I've put in some time
Yeah.
trying to get it on my own.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys that I've seen, they don't put that time in.
Mm.
As soon as they get to that part, it's let me ask somebody instead of putting in work.
Mm.
That's my issue there.
Mm.
It's you want the answer without no work.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
Wow.
No research.
Put in some work.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't ask.
Mhm.
What I'm saying, put in some work to get the answer other than just asking.
Well, we live in an age where everything is fast. Meals are fast. Everybody want right now information.
Yeah.
They don't want to learn. Like we grew. See, one thing I can appreciate about how we grew up before phones.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with pagers.
There you go.
So
I don't remember.
right. So
Pels brought up Palm Pilots.
yeah, right.
People don't know.
Exactly.
Many people don't know Palm Pilots came before Blackberries.
Right.
And somebody don't even know what I'm talking about when I say Blackberry.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But here's the thing.
The fruit.
When we were growing, pals, when we were growing up, we actually had to learn the chords.
Yeah.
There wasn't no YouTube.
No.
Mhm.
There wasn't no
wasn't-
YouTube
and-
tutorials.
Right. And especially even, I can't speak for D, but I know for me, I didn't have a cell phone to call up Troy.
Yeah.
Or to call up, whoever I wanted, like I had to literally listen to Walter Hawkins, on that song and say, okay, I had to figure this out on my own
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, sir.
because the gentleman at the church couldn't play it. And he looked at me like, okay, young boy,
What you got?
what you got? So now I'm home. And I'm like, there's no cell phone. There's no YouTube.
Yep.
Not invented yet.
Yes,
You
sir.
just had to stick with it and keep rewinding your tape. Yep.
That's
Some
what
of y'all
John
remember
Turner
that tape.
John Turner just wrote that.
Yeah,
Had
he
to
had
keep
to
rewinding the tape.
Keep rewinding the tape until you get it. Not the CD.
Mm-hmm.
You keep rewinding the tape until you get it, and
Yes,
you
sir.
sit there and try to figure it out finger by finger, letter by letter,
Yes, sir.
note by note. You had to keep doing what you needed to do, and sometimes it took you a day to learn a song.
Yep. That part.
Especially when James Hall came out,
Who you telling, man?
bruh.
Who you telling?
When James Hall first came out, it turned everybody. I remember playing for my mother's church, but she did the song Caught Up.
Mm-hmm.
Caught Up in the Rapture.
Yep.
And just the intro was like, I said, oh, okay, I've never heard nothing like this before. I don't even know where to start.
You hear the intro, you start playing the intro. Oh, this is an E flat. Then it start moving.
And then it start moving. You're like, hold
Okay,
on.
what keys in it now?
Yup.
And then when the choir come in, then okay, this looks like C minor. But then when you get to the middle part, it's back in E flat.
Yeah, like, hold up. Huh?
Then when you get to the vamp, that's an F sharp. And then it modulate.
Like, ho, where'd all this come from? You came from Walter Hawkins. Thank you. Nice, solid structure chords.
Yeah.
Or you were playing something by Keith Pringle.
Yeah.
Nice solid situations.
Yep.
But then you got James
Straightforward.
Hall that was just like
Yeah.
challenging folks. Like
A
you
li-
couldn't just sing
Yeah.
or play a James Hall song on Sunday.
No.
You had to know what you were doing.
There's a desire, and this is the Keith Pelzer insert on sports analogy for the Saints. Sports analogy for the Saints. If you're playing football, for example, right?
Yep.
Everybody can throw a ball, everybody can catch it. But if you really aspire to be that guy on TV one day, you got to put in the work. People that do that, they get on the team, they really want to do it. You don't want to get on the Eagles to sit on the bench. Right? So you practice with faith that the opportunity is going to come in. You don't want the quarterback to get hurt, but if they do, your turn's in. Linebacker get hurt, your turn, you get in.
Yeah.
Then on the flip side of that, there's somebody that's so much about themselves that they do train hard, they do put the work in, but it doesn't value the team itself. They get the team a championship, and then they go on to the next that's going to get them a championship, and they'll leave that team high and dry.
Yeah.
There's only very few people that says, I'm going to retire with this team, no matter what they go through, no matter the ups and downs. I'm giving that to say, do we think like that in the, as Bishop Haskell and different ones say, the minstrel department? Right? Do we really look at a church the way some sports players look at an organization to say, Allen Iverson is like a Hebrews 11 person?
Yeah.
Having not received the promise. I mean, the boy put in work. He put Philly on the map. The boy shut down Kobe Bryant, Shaq. He slammed over top of big, tall dudes and stuff. And that guy is, no matter what we think about him, he's well respected and did not receive the promise.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's called the answer without a promise.
That part.
Ride or die as a Sixer. You only gonna know him as a Sixer for real. You gonna forget that he was a quarterback. You gonna forget he's out of Virginia. He's a Philadelphian, a Sixer retired. He's the man. Put us out there on the map and stuff, and without a championship.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm saying. Do we think like that when we're in places or houses of worship? Do we look at the pastor like people look at the relationship with a coach?
Yeah.
And then to your point of training, to Darian's point of training, nobody makes you train to be the star quarterback. You do it.
Yes, sir.
You figure that out. You make sure. You got hit last year, so you're going to make sure that you figure out the spin move or get stronger because these big guys running into you. You're going to do that, and then you present yourself to the team better than you were last year.
That part.
And when you stop doing that, there's people that's looking to cut you off because you are not producing. But you want to be in a place that's producing, but you're not offering nothing to it. So to their point about, be honest. And then when you're honest with yourself, you know the help that you need.
Yeah.
And then there's a difference between me going to Darian saying, yo, I need your help with something, and I need your help with something. Me, I'm a pastor. I'm a preacher. I gotta go and preach this Sunday. I don't have to go nowhere and play. But if I had to go back and start playing for a church or something, then I'm gonna go to Darian or Jay and say, yo, I need to learn these latest songs. But what they're not going to do is keep answering my call. They're going to give me the fundamentals. They're going to give me the fishing rod. They're going to say, here's the worm. They're going to say, you throw it out there. Now, here's the different things. And let me know how that's working out. And then when I get to a certain level, they're going to say, do this, do that. And then they're going to expect me to go out and fish on my own, not wait and say, I'm going out to fish. Come on with me. Stay on the call. If this is all you do, you can't be waiting on the call with everybody. And the other thing is how we presenting ourselves. And this is a whole nother topic, but this is why the team is necessary. And what we want to avoid is, and I'm pastors and churches, you got to know when you got them wide receivers that are out for themselves.
Divas.
Wow.
I know you have a diva.
They real good and they dope, but they only going to draw enough for the season, and then they going to roll. And if you are that type of person, be very careful. Be very careful. Yeah, because ministries are not football teams. They are God's property.
That part. Let me shout out some watchers. Right? Kathleen Fontaine Prattis, Felton Golden, Patrice DeLisser. That last comment you put, that's probably going to be on one of our comments in a week or two. Yeah, we going to talk about it, and we saw it. John Turner, Ruthina Napier, Linda Jackson, Pastor Herbert Lust III.
Pastor Lust.
Fatima Jenkins, Rebecca Leggett, I'm sorry. I want to say that's Startain's Planner. I apologize if I messed that up. Priscilla Custis, Courtney Gray.
Priscilla.
We said Raheem Harris, Dave Bell, Joshua Cole, Steve T. Wilson, Angela Crawford, George Walker Sr., Sandra Snow, Shanae Lancaster, Charles James. Thank you all for tuning in. I would like to stay right here because, again, I believe this is one of those hot button topics that, again, it needs a lot more attention and conversation. And again, when we're talking about the comment, it was a comment from previous episode that said conversations on money and church seem to be a universal challenge for every area of ministry. So yeah, I want to stay here today. Because again, going back to something I said earlier, where I said I believe there's the unwillingness to be transparent is what I believe is part of the root of what makes it challenging. But I also want to go back to what I said before that, I said, when it comes to money in the church or the resources of the church, there should be a layer of that's challenging. There should be a process. But again, just because there is a layer that's challenging and a process, that doesn't mean we should avoid the conversations. One point that Pels brought up that I think, needs more attention is not only the transparency, but, not closing the conversation to who we believe will go with our agenda.
That part right there.
That's the strategy we see a lot of times. We see a lot of times where the conversation is closed to a specific group of people. Anyone else that's not that group of people don't get access. And I know this ain't warm and fuzzy, but we got to talk about this. We got to talk about this access restriction.
Wow.
We got to talk about this access restriction.
Yeah.
Because there is, particularly if you're in a leadership position of a ministry, and this goes beyond music. If you are a leader of a specific ministry, generally speaking, there's expectations of you as the leader. There's expectations not only in terms of direction, but there's also expectations in bearing fruit.
Yeah.
All right. And when I say bear fruit, that's not only just the evangelism portion. It's not only that, but it's also building people. Building them in terms of, not only their skill set, but also building them when it comes to communication. And I went all that way to get here to communication, because I believe, and I'm throwing it right back to you on this one, Jay. I believe there are many of our churches will say that one of the biggest challenges in the church is communication.
Yeah, most definitely.
I think many of our churches will say that one of the biggest challenges in the church, if we were to identify one, is communication. Well, I went all that way to get right back where I was. If we have this environment of restricted access, wouldn't that point to why there's communication issues?
Wow. Good.
If we have this environment and this approach and this structure of restricted access when it comes to certain topics and certain information, wouldn't that be a root cause of communication issues and breakdown?
That's it.
Any thoughts, Jay?
So, can we, fellas, can you put up that comment real quick?
Which one, Mondale?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, I just want to pivot for a minute about this and take it off of the musicians and where it is. Conversation about money and church. Now, right there, for me, I thought about all the way back where everything started, the core of why we think the way we think as Black people. Even during slavery, when the Bible was used against our mindsets.
Uh-oh. That boy went deep.
Even, yeah. Because the preacher was used. Even, he had no choice. The preacher was used to make sure he read the scriptures that pertain favorable to the masters. So even from then, we've always had a complex about trust.
That part.
So when you talk about church and money, and not to mention throughout the years after slavery and throughout the 40s and 50s and the 60s, since preaching became known as a sham, where it was told, as long as I tell them what the word is saying, they'll give. So our minds became conditioned, especially when the season, and y'all know I'm about to go here, especially when the season of prophecy came to be famous. Now, I'm saying it like this because Mom Dale didn't say conversations about money, church, and musicians.
Correct.
She said money and church. So that's where I'm headed.
Yeah.
So when the prophecies and in the 80s,
Prophesying.
yes, prophesying became huge.
Yeah.
And that's where you get where, I think they made a movie about Leap of Faith because, man, these prophets were making, so-called prophets or whatever, were making millions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to name no names, but they're still making millions off of telling you something that God had nothing to do with. Matter of fact, with the transgressor called it selling hope.
Mm.
That's what he called it. You're selling me hope.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like, wow. And I can say this because I was a victim of it. I was one of the ones in the $1,000 line. No, I can't tell y'all that story. It's too embarrassing. But at the end of the day, people give thousands and thousands of dollars for hope. So if I can tell you something you want to hear, and that's something that it will be all okay, even if it's not.
Jay, can I say something to disrupt?
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
When TD Jakes wrote the book, The Disruptive Thinking,
Go ahead.
Here's my disruptive thinking. I'm gonna give it back to you, Jay. Y'all gonna fire me. Everybody just say, Keith, get off the camera. You can put it in the comment section because I'm gonna say this. Hear me closely, y'all.
Say it, bro.
You ready for this?
Say it.
If you're a musician and you sitting on them instruments, I don't care what profits come from me. I ain't scared none of y'all. And the pastor or the prophet is prophesying about money coming to the people in the pew, but they take you in the office and say, we got to cut budget because we can't afford to pay you. How you gonna believe God to open doors for everybody else over there, but God ain't gonna open up that budget enough to take care of the Negro that play for you when you preach, talk, shouting 20,000 people every Sunday for 365 days a year, but yet God gonna rain prophetic prosperity in the whole pew, but none for the audio video department. I'm just keeping it 100%.
Yeah,
see,
sir.
I don't play with God and how God can do.
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna believe God to get your rent together, I'm gonna believe God to pay that musician what he's worth or she's worth. I'm gonna believe God that if there's a need for better sound, that God going to bless the budget.
Yeah.
And bless the church that we're going to be able to afford that and not sit there and have a faithless conversation with the music department, AV department, but we have a pimping prophetic word for the people in the pews. Stop it.
Yep.
Listen, y'all, I'm trying not to change my voice, but look, I'm doing some critical thinking because y'all sitting there thinking right now, like, you know what? You got a point because the Reverend just said, I see somebody in here, God going, next week, tell your neighbor, next week I ain't going to have to worry about no paycheck, blah, blah, blah. But then after church, the musicians sitting around waiting on their envelope.
Yeah. Sitting around waiting.
Sitting, wait. Y'all type in the comment, no, because y'all scared to be like, I seen it. I ain't saying it's your church, but you seen it happen. The musicians is sitting around waiting on their check, and the preacher just told all these shouting people that they breakthrough is coming. Miss me.
And
miss me. The gospel is primary. Let's go with that first.
Yes, sir.
And then let's recheck all this extra stuff we talking about, but yet it ain't making sense. And as people were saying to you, the math ain't mathing.
That part.
Here's the thing, pals. They'll use emotionalism on us. They'll use emotionalism.
Yeah.
So what'll happen is you'll have all these people, 10,000 people inside a coliseum. You get each of those people to give you $25, 10,000 now. 25.
Hey, the math of magicians is real.
Right there.
That's a ministry. Math of magician is a ministry.
$25 at 10,000 people. You do the math. That's how much he made in that one night. Now, I'm going to share this, another one. because my ears are coming off. I'm gonna share another one. You also get those folks dancing.
Mm-hmm.
That's another $25 that you can bank on, because especially black people, we thrive off emotionalism. We thrive off hope, just like we did in slavery.
Come on, prophetess.
It's what got us through.
Come on, prophet.
Yes, thank you, Angel. I see every church. We are progressive everywhere else, but at the bank. And we're told to just go to a lot and sit there until God give us the car. No Negro.
Come on, Kamala Harris.
Get your credit.
She wanted to cuss the other night.
Yes, she did. She did.
Yes, she did.
And I felt it. I was hoping
I was feeling it. All the saints felt that. She was like,
look, get your credit right.
Mm-hmm.
And do what you need to do. No, it's going to take some time. They don't tell us stuff like this. They tell us to just hope for it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I absolutely believe in the prophets. I definitely believe in God. I definitely believe that prophecy is real.
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe, as Mom Dale said, that it's going to be a universal challenge, especially for us black people.
Mm-hmm.
Because it always has been since the trust has been broken, and it's on so many levels. And this is not just about musicians. This is about just tithing.
Mm-hmm.
How many pastors have we heard preaching and making the people feel bad from the pulpit about how much they don't give? I saw a post. Wow, y'all need to keep giving. I'm tired of seeing my offering plate like this. My offering plate.
Spooking the people.
Spooking the people. If you don't give now, God going ho 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 ho. And this is how the distrust came about.
Mm-hmm.
Because you make God a genie. He's not a genie in the bottle. You don't just rub him and he just go out there and he just be like, oh, okay. I've had this happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just talking.
Yeah.
I've had this happen. If you don't give $50 tonight, everything you try to do will dry up. Come on, pals. You know what I'm saying?
I'm here for the undecoders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every time you try to sign for a house, it's going to dry up. Because what? Because I didn't get $50. I didn't have it.
Shout out to Rachel Hannibal, who actually teaches financial literacy in plain English, right?
And see, here's the thing. Here's what I respect. Now, let me go on the good side about this. I respect churches that teach financial literacy. Don't just shout me on Sunday. Tell me how to live on Monday through Saturday. Tell me how to save money. Teach me what to do. Teach me about my taxes. Teach me about how to make this $300 stretch. Don't send me out there and have me just know, oh, it's okay. You could buy that purse. God got you. No. Your kids need food. That $300 need to be stretched. The Bible, didn't Jesus say, "The poor you'll have with you always"?
Yeah.
How is that possible if everybody's going to be wealthy?
Yeah.
It's sad. It is sad that too many of our churches believe or have this notion that financial literacy starts and ends with what you give in church.
Bruh.
It starts and ends with, if you give, he will give unto you. And okay,
Psychological.
that is an ingredient. That's not where it starts and ends.
Amen. Yeah.
That's not where it starts and ends. Because that can still be true, and you can still mismanage the 90%.
Yep.
Or whatever.
Exactly.
So no, it does not start and end with if you give, the Lord will bless.
Bruh, how long have we been told? No, seriously. Think about it for 1 second. How long have we been trained that way?
Hey, look at this.
Yep. I knew it was coming.
Enon, love
Mrs.
it.
Brister.
Listen, so this is another help. You want to identify the house that has it in there, right? And if the house doesn't have it in there, it doesn't disqualify the house. It's being knowledgeable of, because you take Jay and Darian, and I'm gonna put myself in a musician's standpoint. If I believe that, with the gift that God has given me and the talent that I have, that my gift may be useful to serve at a particular church. And this is going to help. It's going to sound a little weird, but we're not beating up on musicians that play at 4 different churches on a Sunday. I'm going to go to the extreme. If you got all day Sunday, you may feel like God has called you to be a blessing to 4 different houses of worship.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool. So one is at 9, another's at 12, another's at 3, another's at 6. That's your business, right? But out of those 4 different places, one of them is real. They all, let's say all of them are giving you Jesus, right? Amen. Some dance, some don't. Some speak in tongues, some don't. But they all give you Jesus, and they read out the same Bible. Cool. Let's just say they're congruent.
Yeah.
One is more youthful. One is more senior. One is mixed. One is a hooping preacher. One is a talking preacher. Another one is a prophesying pastor, whatever.
Yeah.
But in all of that, you'll know what you can get from different houses, but they all should be preaching Jesus. I'm saying something there. They all should be preaching Jesus. So again, to Enon's point, and this is what I wanted to lift, it's a subject that has to be properly developed before it's taught.
Yeah.
If you know that house has not developed it, then when somebody's trying to teach it and it's not been developed, you know you need to disregard what you're hearing, because there's no evidence of you've developed that.
Right.
Correct.
Right. I had a guy, and I said this before, come up to me, see me with the camera and stuff, and he felt the need to say something to me. And he saw the camera on A, which actually stands for aperture priority, not automatic. He did not know that, but he just goes into, because he has not developed photography skills.
Yeah.
So he's trying to teach me something in his brain and say, oh, you got it automatic. So I let him talk, and I was like, yeah, it's called aperture priority. You ever heard that? He's like, no, who's that? And I explained it to him. He's like, oh, duh. And I said, this is the reason why I use that. And I was like, and then manual. I said, you shoot manual? Yeah. I said, do you use the automatic eye catcher, or do you dial it in? Oh, well, my camera got that, so you're not doing manual.
Yeah.
Right. So I said all that to say he's talking, but he has not developed, and he's trying to teach.
Yeah.
So you can't expect, now, again, you can't expect financial literacy if you don't see the development there. And if development's not there, here's the thing, and I'll close on this. We still, if we're getting Jesus out of it, amen. And if you're in a place where you're giving, amen, there's another place where you can sit and receive. There's another place where you can give and receive. It's all transactional.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to wrestle with trying to tell somebody, I'm anointed and I add to this ministry. Just do it.
Yeah.
Or you don't have to complain. I ain't getting nothing from there. Why you still going there? Because they giving you a check. Just be honest.
Yeah.
Be honest. This helps add up to pay my rent. And I'm giving them what they asked for. And if the terms of agreement ain't right, fine, you have to step away. And this is where the true prophetic voice is saying, trust God. You have to trust God rather than keep shooting each other down, complaining about it. That's not for you. Step away from it.
Yeah.
Just, you got to trust God and step away. Or you got to say, hey, I really need this money. And I'm here, but y'all, Reverend, you ain't saying nothing. That's being honest, because if not, we're going to keep the enablers going. I just went out on a tangent just to put out there. Ends up what happening, because after a while, I'm gonna be honest, y'all, we start to look real stupid when we complaining about pastors, preachers, singers, houses of worship that most of us already know something wrong there. You get no credit to put them down because you're not helping the situation. You're adding into the shenanigans.
Yeah.
I'm just putting that out there. You're adding into the shenanigans. These brothers I trust. I'm never going to judge anywhere they're at because I know that they're critical thinkers and there's a why to everything we do.
Yes, sir. So we gotta get out of here. I want to shout out some people that just joined us recently. Rob Speaks, as always. Francie Boulware, Chenoa Taylor, Jamie McKenzie. Please come back next week.
Please.
I did see your comments and your questions. Please come back next week. We're gonna hit on some of that next week. All right. Yeah, that was a bomb that Enon just dropped right there.
Yeah, that's
you dropping bombs.
crazy.
We trying to get out of here. You
That
dropping
was
bombs.
a bomb over Baghdad right there.
Jeez.
Yeah. Mike Millar, thanks for joining us. All right, guys. So next week we back 12 noon, and next week it's going to be AV week. All right. So get your questions ready. You know, we're really going to make the streaming side the biggest topic next week. We're going to make that the biggest topic next week. Churches live streaming. All right. We're going to talk about some
when
of
there's
the
20,000 cameramen in the house.
Yeah. But we're going to talk about some of the mechanics of that. But we also got to talk about the why. Pels has been big on that since we started this podcast.
You talking about we need budget for more cameras. It's like you got 15 angles in the church.
Yeah.
Because everybody like this. In church.
Exactly.
You got 15 angles in the
Uh-huh.
church. You know what church needs to do? They need to subpoena every phone before they leave the church and be like, can you just give me an upload of what you recorded today? Listen, I'm trying to help somebody. That's how you get free cameraman work. Just be like, yo.
Set up like a Google Drive folder.
Take up offering and then
upload.
take up a collection of all recorded data.
Yeah.
Give it to the media department.
Yeah. That part.
I'm a creative, y'all.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother job.
Absolutely.
Seriously. You don't created a job for somebody right there.
Yeah.
Listen, man. It's like if you want to run around with your daggone phone while everybody else shout, cool.
Yeah.
Then do me a favor. Upload the media.
Yeah. We set up a Google Drive or Dropbox folder, give you access, upload.
Could you see that, man?
I could. I really could, man. I really could, bro. Particularly a situation where I know some churches, they don't really have a lot of, let's say media personnel, but they do have someone that handles like their social media.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I could see that idea really growing legs.
Mm-hmm.
Where now that one person that handles social media, they don't have to gather all the content on their own.
Yeah. That'll be dope.
But you already know.
Yeah, you got to filter out.
Because the problem will be then every daggone body got a phone and who's taking it in.
Yeah.
Can you see churches now?
Yeah.
Come on, lift your hands and bless them.
Yeah. And then somebody gonna be like, well, they chose not to use what I uploaded for some reason.
And then you have those who load the wrong photos.
Wait a minute. What about what Speaks just put up?
They need to see all that.
Oh Lord, what Speaks say? What Speaks that said Deacon Baxter?
Come on, Deacon Baxter. Yeah.
And audio.
Deacon Baxter plays the guitar. He runs our video and audio department. He also is our drummer when our drummer's not here. He also preaches when pastor's not here. Deacon Baxter runs the church.
Oh my
Drives
gosh,
the van.
man.
He drives the van.
Yeah.
Teaches Sunday school.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
look.
he'll lead devotion.
So
if he needs.
listen, people, ladies and gentlemen, men and women of God, listen to the voice. Ain't it amazing that even at weddings or events, everybody takes their phone, and if you don't even have to ask them to record. Everybody's recording. But yet, when it comes to preaching Jesus, I feel the Holy Ghost right now.
I do it,
We
Rob.
always point to the pastor.
Mm-hmm.
We point to who we think is anointed. and we take no self responsibility to spread the gospel.
Yeah.
We quote pastors and preachers and our favorite leaders and stuff.
Yeah.
But yet, when I go to do photography or videography for somebody, God alone, a big event or a wedding or something, everybody wants to be the cameraman.
Yep.
All the cute women in the house, they got their phone. I mean, I go to events, these girls got stands and lights,
Oh yes.
right? So you have to create a lane for your professionalism. Ain't it something that pastors don't have to create a lane for their excellency? And their years of studying the gospel of Jesus Christ and the Bible and Greek and Hebrew and stuff, because nobody, I'm not saying absolute nobody, but the majority of us in the pews are not willing to be like the cell phone ministry people.
Yeah.
You don't have to authorize nobody in the congregation to pull their phone out. Let it be a wedding. Everybody's got some kind of phone out.
Yep.
Everybody at a party, y'all see it. I'm a Christian, but I go to parties. You go to a party, people got their phones out.
Yes, sir.
Social media exists because people put the phone in their hand and they hit record whether you ask them or not. But when it comes to the gospel,
But when it comes to the gospel,
we rely on the professionals.
Yep.
Ain't that crazy? We rely on the professionals to do it.
My Lord.
We pay $300,000-$500,000 for a ticket for our favorite singer, and we sing their songs for them.
I'm in the wrong business.
Why they get paid? I'm done. Sorry, y'all.
Yep. So again, yeah, the conversation of money in church is a universal challenge in every area of ministry. Yeah, I was trying to avoid that.
That's why I was just like,
I was trying to avoid it.
keep moving. Because you know Angel she gonna say
She gonna say it.
Yeah, she gonna talk.
She gonna say it.
It was hacked.
Not really. But
Yo, we gonna be saying, you know how everybody's saying no Diddy, gonna be like no Shay.
yeah,
Yeah, bro.
that's the next running joke.
No Shay.
Yeah. But yeah, we getting out of here. But again, yes, the conversation can be challenging, but we don't want to avoid the challenge. The conversation is supposed to be challenging,
My God.
but we shouldn't avoid it, and we'll still get to our destination. All right. Again, see you guys next week. Like I said, next week
Yeah.
we are.
I can't. We gotta go.
We gotta
go.
go into it.
Lord have mercy.
You can't go into it.
Let-
We'll be there.
Next week, like I said, all your AV questions, we're gonna tackle that. Then on that would be the 26th, which would be an evening edition. We're gonna start our new series, and that's gonna be ministry relationships.
Whoa.
Ministry relationships. It's
It
gonna be
is.
our next series. And there's gonna be a lot of subtopics under that. A whole lot. So we might be there the rest of the year.
My goodness.
But we out of here. I'm D Brister.
I'm Jay Morris.
Reverend Juice, you got it.
All right. We out.
Sky is the limit. 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 Sky is the limit.